2026 baseball season previews continue right here on 446 Sports. And we've got the head coach of the Avoyelles Charter Vikings, Stu Regard, with us this morning. And Coach, y'all got practice here in a few minutes, got your tournament to kind of open up your ballpark here coming up this week. But catch us up on your team and your program as y'all go into 2026.
Yeah, good morning. Thanks for having me. We actually had 2 games this week to open the season. We opened up at Livonia on Tuesday night, and we gave up 6 runs in the first inning and ended up losing 6-0. So there was a lot to learn from that. And then we followed that up Thursday. We went to Buckeye, and we lost a tough 3-0 game there. But I thought we played much better and were more competitive in that game. So, we're excited about having next week to kind of clean up some things. And then we host our tournament here, I think, for the 5th consecutive year, the Billy Allgood Classic. And that'll go from Thursday to Saturday. So we'll get a chance to get back on the field next Friday.
Yeah, and of course, a perfect backdrop for our conversation this morning. I mean, this is a state championship caliber program. You've been a part of it for many years now. What anything stand out to you about this year's edition of Vikings baseball as far as just the brand or the style or just anything unique about this team that you're excited about or that you feel, hey, look, we've got to have this identity this year?
Yeah, well, we got a lot of guys on the mound that need to get up there and prove to us that they can throw strikes and give us a chance to win games because, we feel like if you have good pitching that you can be in any game. That's kind of the mantra that I've tried to establish not only here but through my entire career. This is my 28th year of coaching baseball, so I've been doing this a long time, and not much has changed. The philosophy is still the same. We want to have good pitching, play good defense, and then if we can manufacture some runs, we feel like we can compete with pretty much anybody. But this year in particular, these seniors were freshmen in 23 and had a chance to experience winning at the highest level and be a part of that state championship team, which was the first in school history. But they know the standard that not only those guys, those seniors that when they were freshmen put in front of them, but it's been the standard since day one that I've gotten here. And hopefully they can continue to move that forward with these younger kids. But we have only 3 or 4 guys that are returning that had some varsity game time experience last year. So we have a lot of guys that we think can do some things for us, but it's just a matter of getting them between the lines and getting that game experience and letting them kind of work through some of the struggles of the game and figure some things out. But we feel like we got some talented guys that we can put out there. We got 5 or 6, 7 guys that we can run out in the mound, and hopefully we can stay healthy. We did lose one of our seniors for a brief period of time, Carson Liu, our big first baseman, and we had planned on getting quite a few innings out of him. We spent a lot of time with him from a pitching standpoint, but he pulled a hamstring and he had tweaked it last year. So we're kind of waiting to see what his MRI says next week to see if we can maybe get him back. But, he's a pivotal part of our defense because he played a really good first base for us.
And dive into some of those other players that'll kind of fill out your lineup here in a minute. But talking about that standard, for those players in particular that were a part of those state championship runs that are underclassmen now that are upperclassmen now, how would you best want those guys, that group, to define what y'all's standard is and to, as they see it, what's particular about that standard that you want them to understand the most as they lead their teammates?
Well, we believe in a lot of self-discipline. And with us, that starts in the classroom, actually. You're going to make the grades and do what you need to do as far as the way you handle yourself as a student athlete first. And then if you can handle that part of it, then, this is more of a privilege for you to come out here and be a part of this program and then take that to the baseball field. But, they're going to take their shoes off before they walk in this building. They're going to clean up the field. They're going to wear the right shirt. And they know if they don't do that, there's a place they write their name on the board, and there's some accountability that goes with that. So we try to hold them to a standard of self-discipline first, and then we try to implement that onto the field to make sure that they understand that this is a game. And, I don't foresee any of them getting a check to play this game moving forward. So let's try to learn some things that we can from being a good teammate, being unselfish, having some discipline about yourself on and off the field that can make you a better young man moving forward as you become a husband, a father, somebody in the workforce. And that's the ultimate goal that I see personally as a head coach, to try to prepare these young men to be men that can do a positive thing in society.
Yeah. And undoubtedly that sort of approach to anything that you do, whether it's school, family, your faith, sports, anything like that, that sort of approach will trickle down once you get out on the field. So once we are out on the field, you mentioned you do have, a small number of, we'll call them lettermen from last year that are experienced as far as getting, big innings. But talk about some of the guys that y'all are leaning on early to try to set the tone and get you off to a good start.
We got 5 seniors that again, with those teams in 23 and 24, they didn't get a whole bunch of varsity playing time, but that doesn't mean they're not good players. They've developed and they've waited their opportunity. William Miller pitched for us against Buckeye the other night. I had 2 of my seniors come to me early on in the school year and express an interest in going to play basketball. And they've never played basketball before, but, we lost our head coach and some players, so they felt like they could contribute and help our school from a basketball standpoint, and I'm all about that. So, they weren't with us in the fall. They were limited getting out here early part of the spring. So they haven't been throwing and hitting like everybody else. And William went and threw 4 2/3 innings against Buckeye and gave up 4 hits and didn't walk anybody. So he had a great first outing. Like I mentioned, Carson Lewis is going to pitch for us. Hopefully we can get him back. We have Luke Guillory in center field, who's played some outfield for us last year as a varsity player. Hopefully he can kind of hold down the outfield, because we have some young guys that are going to be, out there trying to learn the position as well. Braylon Lacombe's going to be playing second base for us. And, he's just a little runt who's out there, but he's a dirt bag. He's going to leave his feet. He's going to make plays. He's going to put bunts down. He's going to do everything that we ask of him to try to be successful. And, Cade Garrow's going to play third base for us. He didn't play much there last year, but we feel like he can do a good job there for us as well. So, we're gonna try to figure this out in the first 10 to 12 games, and like I told them, there's gonna be a lot of guys in and out of the lineup early on, and we're gonna move you around, and what most people don't understand is that these guys love playing baseball, but they're gonna fail 70% of the time. You go to the plate 10 times, they're gonna put you out 7 out of 10, and if they don't, then you're an all-state player. If you're hitting 300, everybody thinks you're a really good baseball player, and this is a game where you gotta fight through those dips, and you gotta be humble whenever you're having a lot of success. So you gotta find that balance, and I think this particular group, it's going to take us a few games to figure that out, and hopefully we can. But our coaching staff, this is the most assistant coaches I've ever had in my entire career, and 2 of my assistant coaches happen to be former players from both of those teams, from 23 and 24, and they were super players, and they understand the system, and they understand the standard, and they relate to these kids on a much better platform sometimes than I do at my age. So they've been a blessing for me, because they're volunteering to do it right now, and I was able to get an assistant coach back here that left for a year, who was here for those years as well, and I have another dad, actually, but I've been coaching with him since Little League. We're lifelong friends, so we kind of all on the same page, that we understand what we're trying to do here, and that makes it real easy and enjoyable for me, I can tell you.
What stands out to you the most, or what's the first thing that comes to mind, just in particular when you think about just Class B baseball in the area? Because that just is such a familiar story, where you're waiting for your basketball guys to finish, and you got a small core athletes that make the whole athletic program go. But particularly right here in Central Louisiana, you've just got a lot of teams at that Class B level that have won state, between Avoyelles Charter and Pitkin and Grace, Glenmore, Hicks has been a dominant team in Class B. It's just been, and then you go beyond there, you look at Shudrint and other schools like that, Anacoco, that at this level have just been consistently good at baseball. What about this type of baseball program just makes you the proudest of programs like this that get built to let these guys do this?
A lot of these smaller schools, as they say, they're not afraid to schedule people that have a 3, 4, or 5A next to their school title. Yeah. And they're extremely well coached. You know, JC and I are very close, and I mean, he does a great job at Pelican. But if you watch these smaller schools play, they all kind of do the same thing. They're going to have really good pitching. They're going to play a good defense. And if they can't beat you like some of these bigger schools with guys that are 6'4", 225 pounds, hitting the ball out of the park, they're going to play small ball, and they're going to make you play defense, and they're going to force you to have to make plays defensively. And that's kind of what we try to do. You know, if we can get a chance to bunt the ball, we're going to do that, because I've always been a real big bunt guy. And, you know, we actually put down 2 safety squeezes in a state championship game. So without that aspect of our offense, we're not going to be very good. And our guys know that. If you can't bunt, most likely you're not going to be in the lineup. So we spend a lot of time working on those things. And I think the smaller schools sometimes do those things possibly a little more than the larger schools, if that makes any sense to you, because that's their avenue to be successful.
Let's talk a little bit about the tournament that you'll have coming up next week, the Billy Allgood Classic. Of course, that's a name that that everyone in Rapides Parish that's close to baseball knows about. I get to see the field named after him every day on the way to work. So, in particular, what do y'all try to get done with that tournament to not only kick off your season and kind of let the community see your ballpark, but you know, for a few days a year, pay tribute to a great leader in the baseball community in St.
Well, Coach Allgood is actually the reason that I'm here. He came when he started this program. I think it was in 2008. He called me up. I was at Marksville. I was the head baseball coach at Marksville, and he wanted to try to, you know, get this thing off the ground. He said, Coach, look, you know, we're not going to be, you know, real good, but we're trying to get this started over here at the Vols Charter. And I didn't know much about the place. And then eventually my 2 younger kids got in here, so they were coming to school here. So we played them, and he and I got to know each other. And his son, Duke Allgood, was actually my principal at Marksville. So I got a little closer with his dad. And, you know, through that baseball connection, he eventually got me to come talk to the people here. And then when I came here and he decided that it was time for him to move on and retire, we decided that we wanted to host a tournament in his honor, because he is the founding father of the whole facility. I mean, he put home plate out in the middle of this field at any angle of direction. He's like, this is where it's going to be. And I mean, it got built from that point, you know. Now, we've had to do some things from storms and stuff, but I mean, he originated the first nail in the ground. You know, I mean, it's all him and what he wanted to do. So I was able to spend some time with him my first 6 or so years here. And I got really close to him, and we just created a bond that kind of led to us wanting to always make sure that we hosted this in his honor.
Well, yeah, a great showcase coming up next week for Vols Charter to kind of open up the home part of your season. Of course, the next week after that, you'll have your home opener regular season game against Westminster. So, Coach, we appreciate your time. I know y'all got practice here in a few minutes, but we certainly appreciate you catching us up on Vikings baseball, and hopefully be another successful run for you on the scoreboard, but also just to continue to cultivate leaders in the community as you've done for so many years.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Coach.
Okay.